Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here. You ever drive through a snowdrift and suddenly realize how much of your confidence depends on what you can see? Not what you know, not what you've done before, but what's visible right in front of you. Because there's a very real difference between driving through a little drift where you can still see the yellow line and patches of asphalt on both sides, and driving through one where the road completely disappears. And that difference, that feeling, is a lot like how we experience uncertainty in life. Hello, my friends. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Todd Talk. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to 2026. I hope all of your dreams come true this year. And as always, thank you so much for following along with me. So if you live somewhere that gets winter, or you've driven somewhere that has snow, maybe it's your regular day-to-day life, maybe it's vacation, or maybe you were with a friend or as a kid. If you've ever driven in snow, period, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Driving along, might be early morning after a storm, and there's a snowdrift on the road, right? You can see the asphalt is clear. They've done a great job of cleaning up the road. It's clear asphalt, clear blacktop, both sides, but maybe there's a field or something. The snow blows across the field into the road, and all of a sudden you have this little patch, this 100-foot long patch of snow. And when we approach that, if we can see the road on both sides, we think, awesome, let's just baja right through it and have a great time. Let's, see if we can skid a little bit. It'll be fun because we know that the asphalt on the back side of that, as we continue through the drift, is clear, and it will provide us the ability to stop normally, and we don't have to worry about that. We know what's on the other side. We know the pavement is there. We know regular traction is going to be there for us to rely on for the things that we know and that are quote-unquote normal when it comes to our driving conditions. So you know that the road is there, and you know where it is. So you don't panic. You ease into it. You go through it. You keep your wheels straight. Maybe you don't keep your wheels straight. Maybe you like to skid a little bit, right? You don't slam on your brakes. You don't need to overcorrect. You just drive through it. You know you're going to just get right through it. You have clear asphalt, a little bit of snow to drive through, and maybe, slide around for a brief moment and smile about it. And then you get to keep going back onto normal pavement, back onto your regular traveled route, back onto the known traveling conditions and the ones that are really much easier to navigate. But then there are those moments during a snowstorm, particularly, where the road is completely covered. You can't see the yellow line. You can't see the shoulder. You can't see any indication or visual reassurance that you are still on the right path. And as someone who used to plow snow for a living, I can tell you that we had big monster storms sometimes where trucks would drive off the side of the highway into the median because they couldn't quite figure out where the edge of the road was. And it wasn't their fault. But when there's no guide rail or fence on one side of the road that, in the left-hand lane that goes into a grass median, and you're trying to make sure you're getting all the snow off the road when it's snowing 2 inches an hour and you're getting 14, 18, 22 inches of snow, sometimes you just get a little too far over. And you panic. You have no visual reassurance that you're still on the right path. And your body starts to react before your brain has time to catch up. And you wonder, even if you're not plowing snow, even if you're just driving in a good old-fashioned snowstorm, or if you're somewhere where it doesn't snow, if you're driving in a really heavy rainstorm, or you're someplace that's prone to mudslides and you're driving through mudslicks or sand that's blown over the road, all those things, right, where we lose track of what we are used to seeing. We think, am I going to slide? How far does this snowdrift even go? What happens at the bottom of a hill? Will I be able to stop? Will I be able to not stop? And you panic. All these things fire in your brain all at once, and you get so overwhelmed. But nothing has actually gone wrong yet. But your confidence just seems to evaporate. And in that place where your confidence evaporates is where your fear lives, and not only lives, is where your fear thrives. And it doesn't thrive in the danger itself, but it thrives in the not knowing what's underneath the snow in the case of driving. But when you talk about the life parallel, anybody who's known me knows this isn't just about the snowdrift. We're going to talk about life here and about real feelings and about our brains and our emotions. Because, I mean, not that snow is not fun, but, there's more to life than snowdrifts. But life does this to us all the time, right? When we don't know what's under the snow, so to speak, when we can't see the edges. But there are times in life when we can see the edges, when we have reference points, experiences, examples, we move forward with relative ease, right? If it's a known thing, if it's a known activity that we're doing, if it's a known job, anything throughout the day that we are used to doing, we walk right through it. We say, we can do this. Even if it's a little unfamiliar, we say things like, I've done something like this before, or other people have done this. I know what the next step looks like. I can figure it out. I can get there. It'll be okay. But when everything feels covered and we don't have anything that's a known, and the future is sort of this big white blur, snow pun intended, right? That's when we slow down, we hesitate, or sometimes we stop altogether. And not because we're incapable, and not because we don't necessarily know what to do, but we stop because we can't see. See, the unknown isn't the enemy, right? It's okay to have an unknown in your life. Here's the important part. The snowdrift, as it were, isn't malicious. It isn't personal. It isn't there to stop you. It doesn't dislike you. It didn't think that you wronged it one day in the 7th grade and now it's out to hold a grudge and get back at you. It's just snow. And the unknowns in life often work the same way. Most of the things that we're so afraid of or so worried about moving through aren't actively trying to harm us. They're just undefined things. We don't know how long it will last. We don't know how hard it will be. We don't know what version of ourselves we will be when we come out the other side of this thing, whatever it is, this thing we have to tackle or work through. So we brace ourselves, we tense our muscles, we clench our jaw, we worry, we get this tight pounding in our chest. And when it comes to the driving analogy, that snowdrift, you grab the steering wheel tighter, you hold your breath, and you can't figure out what to do. You're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. I've never driven in snow before, when sometimes some people listening have been driving in snow for the past 50 years. So what makes it worse and what really amplifies this fear is when we assume that not seeing the road means there is no road. Okay? That's when panic sets in. But I want you to remember the absence of visibility is not necessarily the absence of direction that you have, right? Even if there's still snow on the road, there's still a road there underneath it for you to follow and for you to drive on. The road didn't disappear. It's just temporarily obscured. And so many things in life are like that. The distraction of not being able to see what we're used to seeing and what is there is what really kind of makes us panic and what makes panic set in. So the road doesn't disappear. Your path of life didn't disappear. It's just temporarily obscured by something that's in your way that maybe you have to work through or tackle that you haven't worked on before. And that distinction matters more than we realize, because sometimes we can lose emotional traction, right? When we're overwhelmed by uncertainty, we tend to overthink, right? Even more than some of us already do. If you're an overthinker, it's okay. There's lots of us out there. Don't worry too much about it. But when it comes to overthinking, sometimes a situation that's unknown or hard to navigate makes us really overthink even more, if that's even possible. And right along with that overthinking comes replaying worst case scenarios. And sometimes we try to stop altogether. We think that, we can't get forward. We don't have any more traction, so to speak. So now we're just going to stop altogether. And that's so detrimental. And it can be so tough to work out of and walk through and kind of walk back from. But stopping in the drift, so to speak, doesn't usually help, because once your momentum stops, it's really difficult to get going again. And emotionally, it's the same. Your momentum, gentle, steady momentum when it comes to emotionally walking through and working through things, is often what carries us through. It's not speed. It's not force. It's not, hitting it all of a sudden with every bit of our energy, but only for 5 seconds with that super crazy intensity. It's just movement. Trusting the process, too, is a really big part of this. And there's an episode of mine of this podcast about trusting the process. And when it comes to moving through things in your life, emotional things that are heavy and that feel like fog or like uncertainty, and you feel like you can't see the path anymore, you can't see the road, so to speak, kind of think about how you actually drive through deep snow or through sand or through any kind of dangerous road condition. You don't floor it. You don't freeze. You don't jerk the wheel. You don't go out of control. You trust the vehicle. You trust your experience, and that you trust the fact that the road is still there underneath you and it's designed to go somewhere. And your emotional struggles and the emotional battles that you kind of face are the same. You have to trust yourself as the vehicle. You have to trust, hey, I've done something like this before. Maybe it wasn't this exact thing, but I've been through difficult things like this before. I know how to steadily keep my momentum and work through this. I have gotten over this type of hurdle before. And give yourself some credit for all the things you've already overcome that have been difficult, like this current situation. And again, even if they're not all the same, that doesn't mean that you can't get through it. You have the tools to do it. Your experience is there. You have a path in front of you that you know you can continue down. You just have to trust in the fact that you can keep going, even if there's a little bit of something obscuring your vision or obscuring your view of what exactly the next step looks like. So, life, I think, a lot of times asks for the same kind of trust, that same steady, trusting momentum. It's not blind optimism. I think it's more of a grounded faith in your ability to adapt and overcome the difficult terrain that you are currently navigating, because chances are you've navigated this same type of terrain before. Just sometimes we forget that we have, or we get overwhelmed, or that fear sets in that, oh God, I don't know what to do now. I love the phrase, you've made it through every bad day you've ever had so far, because it's true. You're still here. The bad days have come and gone, but you found ways to battle through it and keep right on going. And that's true of us as people on so many levels. And there have been things in your past, I'm sure, and even if I don't know you, I'm going to wager that everyone listening, myself included, have been through storms that we once thought would stop us. We once thought, this is it. I don't think this is ever going to get better. I don't think this is ever going to be something I can overcome or move past or get through. That history counts. Even if it's a little obscured or a little hidden, what you're actually working, or how you're actually working through it. If the road is a little hidden by the snow, that doesn't mean it disappears. So when it comes to those big, deep, emotional, heavy things that you have to wade through or drive through or continue, walking down the path of life through, maybe reframe the fear. And maybe the question isn't, what if I lose control? Maybe it's, what if I actually make it through this? The other day, I think it was yesterday, I posted in my Instagram story something that said, it just, it hit me. I was talking to my kids about, good things happening in 2026. And my 9-year-old was like, I think it's going to be the best year ever. And my 11-year-old was like, yeah, cheers to the best year ever. It's going to be so great. And it made me think, what if instead of overthinking all the bad things that could happen and all that could go wrong, what if we start overthinking all the things that could go right in our day, in our week, in our month, in our entire year? I think one of the really beautiful things that can happen about us tackling difficult situations and reframing it and asking ourselves is, the good what ifs. What if you learn how capable you really are at overcoming difficult things? What if you discover and learn how able you are to improvise, adapt, and overcome? Because when we're talking about driving, sometimes the snow doesn't mean stop. It just means slow down and stay centered and, stay in your lane, as the expression goes, and keep moving forward. So this is just a gentle reminder that you don't need to see your entire path from start to finish. You just need to see the next step, right? Just a little bit more, just a little bit of road in front of you, just a little bit of the visibility of the quote unquote next step, those next few feet. There's another beautiful saying I love that says you can't drive, your headlights can only see so far at night, but you can make the entire journey that way. You can only see a little bit in front of the vehicle when you're driving at night, but you can make the whole journey that way. You just keep driving that little bit in front of you that you can see, and eventually you get to the place where you are happily over the bad thing that happened, or through the storm, or whatever analogy you'd like to use. And so a lot of times that's what life gives us, right? We don't always, or really ever, get the full map. We don't get the whole picture. There is no road atlas of life. We don't know where we're going to be 10 years from now. That's part of living. But what we do get is the next little bit, the next safe stretch of road, so to speak, the next little bare spot of asphalt that you can see. We get little bits of clear path in our life. And when you see those, I'd like to encourage you to be really intentional about how you walk towards them and what you walk towards. So many people, I think, just kind of drift back and forth, and they don't really think, hey, I want to point my ship this way, or I want to steer my vehicle this way. I'll just deal with whatever shows up when I kind of bounce along and drift along. But be intentional with what you want to pursue. Be intentional about what you want to achieve and overcome. Believe in yourself and believe in the power you have to control your own life day by day. It is your life to control and to move through and to be proud of. So if you're in a season where everything feels covered, like the snowdrift analogy, if you're in a spot where all your familiar things feel gone, your familiar landmarks are gone and unseen, you really feel like you don't have anything that's really grounding you to the spot you're in. You feel adrift, or you feel like, oh my God, I'm in this unknown territory. Sometimes we can feel this way, and we feel like our certainty is, buried under something. The analogy talks about the road being buried under snow, but maybe our emotional comfort is buried under that uncertainty. It's buried under what we don't know or what we think we need to walk through or kind of work on. And when this happens, and it certainly will happen, and if it's not happening right now, that's a good thing. But I think Les Brown has a really fun quote that says something to the effect of, and I don't think it's his, I think he quoted someone else, but it's you're either in a problem, just got over one, or heading towards one. And it sounds kind of tongue-in-cheek to say, but really there's a lot of goodness that can come out of being prepared emotionally for the things that might come your way. And a lot of this deals with kind of your bubble of personal wellness. And this is one of the things I speak about when I do burnout workshops and stuff. The idea of personal wellness isn't just self-care. It's not just the massage or the manicure or the long walk or the spa day or whatever it is. Personal wellness is this big overarching umbrella that covers your entire self. And being in tune with that and maintaining a state of personal wellness means that you know how to get over difficult things, how to reset and refresh and relax. You know what you need to feel like your best self. And you also take the time to do those things to stay feeling like your best self. So when the difficult things show up, you know how to navigate the murky waters or the difficult thing you're coming up against. If you're someone who drives all the time, driving through a little snowdrift should be no big deal. And to most people, it probably isn't if snow is something they're very used to. But if you let that panic set in and you realize, oh my God, I can't even see the road. Now what do? You just do the same thing you've been doing for years and years and years. You just go through it. Emotional problems in our life are much the same. If you're in a situation where you don't know where to turn or you don't know what to do and you say, oh gosh, now what do? You just go through it, just like you have in the past, one foot in front of the other. Call on and lean on the people you have leaned on and called on in the past for help. Speak your mind out and your problems out to the same people you have to rely on. Believe in yourself the same way you have believed in yourself in the past, or maybe believe in yourself and the feeling you had the last time you overcame something really difficult. Because sometimes we doubt ourselves and we think, oh, I can't get through this. It's never going to work. But believe, and more than believe, remember how good it felt the last time you overcame something and the last time you came out the other side and there was finally resolution in your life. Remember that feeling and then connect that feeling to the other memory that you are able and capable of getting through hard things and difficult things. So even if you can only see both sides of the road, so to speak, and there's this snowy part of the middle, you can see where you currently are in your life and you can see where you want to go. But in the middle, there's this uncertain patch. Do I change jobs? Do I change locations? Do I sell my house and move? Do I pursue a new career? Do I end my relationship? Do I stay in my relationship? Do I rebuild my house? Do I get a new house? All these things. Whatever that blurry patch is in the middle, whatever that covered part is that you don't know what's kind of hiding underneath there, just go through it, slow and steady. And every step you take, a little bit more information will reveal itself. You'll feel certain ways about certain things, and you'll say, well, that's good. That made me happy. I want to keep doing that. That feels like the road I want to continue on. That feels like the road I want to stay on. Trust yourself and your ability to do what's best for you. Throw away the self-doubt. Throw away the noisy chirping of other people in the peanut gallery who tell you it's a bad idea or you shouldn't do it, and really focus in and hone in on what you want to do and how it makes you feel when you do certain things. Trust your heart and trust your gut. Don't just do something to get through a difficult patch or to travel and traverse that unknown section because you think someone else might think it's a good idea. Trust yourself. Think back to the steps you've taken in the past and figure out what works for you and do that and repeat it and keep right on going. We made the analogy, driving through the snowdrift. You take a deep breath, you keep your wheels straight, you ease forward nice and easy, you keep your momentum up, you don't floor it, you don't spin out. The road is still there even if you can't see it yet, right? Most snowdrifts are temporary. There's a guy I worked with years ago. He always used to say, I've never seen the snow last until June, but we beat our brains out trying to plow it every single storm. And again, it's a little tongue-in-cheek because obviously you have to plow the roads, in between each storm so people can drive them, but the snow's never going to stick around. It won't last forever. And your emotional weight, or those emotionally heavy things that you're walking through and working through, they won't last forever either. I know sometimes it feels like they will. I know sometimes it feels like they're too heavy. If you want to listen in about emotional weight, I have an episode called The Birdseed, the Hay, and the Boulder that really talks about naming the weight of the emotional things in your life. Go ahead and give that one a listen after you've listened to this one. And I think maybe the 2 and 2, when you put them together, they can kind of bring about some really good things and some really good strategies of how to walk through difficult and emotionally heavy things. My friends, it has been a pleasure to be in your ears today, as it always is. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you have questions, please reach out to me on social media or via email. Leave a comment on my Instagram story, on TikTok. I am the same username across the board, at Todd W. Hiller. If someone in your life should hear this episode and you feel like it might resonate with them, please share it with them. And also follow along on my journey if you'd like to. Come grab me on social media. I'd love to have you along for the ride. If you need a coach or a speaker for your event, you let me know. I'd also be happy to help you that way. Be well with yourselves. Please take fantastic care. Happy 2026. Here's wishing you beautiful, beautiful things for the entire year to come. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.